Thank you so much, WG, for your wonderful music, and also Deb for that beautiful song. Everybody hear me okay? Welcome. Deb's already welcomed you, but I am so grateful each and every one of you are here today. Um, Deb is singing about peace and love, and that's what this season is about. But right now, so many people are in a place in the outer world, things are going on with the storms that are happening, storms of life. And so let us remember all those that are having dark, stormy days and nights in mental, emotional, physical places within them. And may this season bring us closer together, that we can begin to recognize, as we spoke about last Sunday, we don't know what's happening to the person beside of us and what they're feeling. Bring forth that kindness and that love more and more as we begin to put others in front of us and begin to see the light in them or even the pain in them to help lift each other up. And this is a perfect time for America and the world to begin to wake up to who we really are and who all other are as brothers and sisters. A few weeks ago when Troy was up here speaking, he spoke on the Advent season. We started into that the day that he spoke. And so he lit a candle, I do believe, or well, anyway, there's a candle lit for peace. No, it was for hope and faith first. And that's what we're holding, is that faith and that hope, actually that knowingness that life is changing. And then last week, peace. The Advent is that journey to Bethlehem, that journey into our inner self, that journey into the depths of our being to bring forth love. The Advent season is that journey within us. We seem to take that every year about this time, but it's my hope and my prayer that this time the Christ will be born in us, and total awareness where every day will be Christmas. Every day will be a day of light. Every day will be a day of peace, a day of renewing, a day of love. To know it's not only outside that we're searching for all these things, but it's within ourselves. And coming to that place where we truly, truly find it. I remember being a little girl, looking forward to the Christmas tree and all the lights and everything. And I recognized there was more to Christmas than just the gifts and Santa Claus. And I wondered why we put everything away after Christmas and we don't speak about the joy in the world, the peace in the world like we do just at Christmas time. Somehow we humans get caught up in that outer world, caught up in the hustle bustle of life, and forget why we're here, the true meaning of everything. But today, let's just pause for a moment and begin to go within ourselves. Like Mary, let's take a moment and just close our eyes as we're making that journey inward. And there's rough roads and rough places to go on that long journey within. Just take a deep breath and relax. There's no place to go, nothing to do except to be right here and right now on our journey inward. Think about the people in the outer world, the people that are experiencing darkness, the people that are experiencing the lack of faith, the ones that seem there is no hope. Within you, you have hope for the hopeless, peace for those that seem to have no peace. Within you, You have love. Not only your natural love, but the love that is unconditional, the love of God. You make a difference in this world. You are here, just like Mary, to make that journey through this outer world. Go through all the hard places, the hard roads, to one day birth that light, that love, that wisdom, that power that was placed in you at the beginning of all creation. I'd like to share with you, as you're relaxing, a daily word. As we're journeying through this Advent season, let our thoughts turn to peace. May we remember what gives us peace. Those good times with each other, the stars, the sky, flowers and trees, the smell of good food, or sharing time with others. But let us realize we don't have to wait for a special experience to feel peaceful, for we have the power to claim peace at all times, in all situations. Let us affirm that divine peace is greater than any worldly condition. Let us remain centered and calm and not allow minor irritations to block turn off the center of that love and that peace that's within us. For God's peace is our peace. God's peace is within us, now and forever. The supreme love of God knows no defeat, that love that is within us. For love is a solution to every problem. Many of our human distractions show evidence of a lack of love. But when love is brought to bear upon problems, we soon discover the solution. For God is the answer. Troubles can't prevail against the power of divine love when solving a problem seems impossible. All we have to do is go within and turn to love and begin to recognize there is no problem that cannot be solved through the power of God, our loving Creator. This day, with all the hustle bustle, with all the things mentally, emotionally, and whatever is going on with the individual, not just we here at Unity or our family, but the whole world is standing in a place of needing, of longing, of asking, of searching, knowing that something is right here in our midst. May we open our hearts and minds and begin to recognize not a one of us is alone. God is the answer. The divine is right here with us right now. May we wake up out of that darkness. May we recognize that your presence is right here. Because it's been that separateness from you, dear God, that's kept us in that place of division, that place of unworthiness, that place of feeling hopeless, not recognizing that you're not afar off, but your presence is ever present. Lead us on that journey that we've been on for so long, but may we wake up and recognize the journey is over. We're standing right here, right now with you, dear God. Open our eyes that we may see the truth that will set us free. And for this, I give thanks. Amen. 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 There was a decree that went out in the time of Mary and Joseph, a decree that all should pay their taxes and go back to the place of their ancestral birth. And Joseph also went forth and went into Galilee of the city of Nazareth into Judea, to the city of David, which is Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the lineage of David. He went with his spouse. Or one says that he was a spouse to someone, he was engaged to someone, and then another begins to talk about that they were already married, says he went with his wife. And they were going there because there was this decree, or the government said you had to go do this. So it's kind of like today, we have rules and regulations on the outside world. And so as they were journeying, it was not an easy journey because it was about 90 miles from where they were at. And this 90-mile journey, we can take it a few hours or less, hop in your car and go somewhere. But here they were journeying Mary was pregnant. She was probably about 9 months pregnant, 8 or 9, somewhere in there. She's about ready to give birth to a baby. And she's riding on a donkey, up and down hills, of course, along the Jordan as she was going. That was flat ground, but then they had to go into hilly country. So it took probably about a week for them to get there, I would think, maybe even longer. And then after that hard journey, this young girl that's pregnant on this donkey, after that, they get to Bethlehem. And in Bethlehem, have you ever gone on a trip and you forgot to make reservations? When I was a teenager, I'd do stuff like that, early 20s. Let's go to the beach. Come on, let's go. And then find out that it's, all the kids are out of school and everything. Well, everybody was there to be listed and pay their taxes and all this. But so everything was full. I don't think that the innkeepers were trying to be mean. It was just, we don't have room for you. We don't have room. No room in the inn. And I've heard people talk about, why didn't somebody have compassion? Why didn't somebody give up the room? Why didn't this, that, and the other? Didn't they realize who this was? No, the symbol here, I believe, is there is no room for the birth of the Christ in the end. In the outer consciousness, we're too busy. And it doesn't make sense to us anyway. God being born, that's impossible. The whole story sounds impossible. But I believe it's true. It's true for you and it's true for me. And the story is not just about Jesus, not just about Mary, just about Joseph. But like we talked last week, it's about the aspects of that in us. So when our heart and our mind are pure, we begin to hear or know that there's something that's within us that's changing. Something that no person has put in us. We just begin to feel this movement within our heart and mind of knowing I'm changing. Some of you recognized years ago that you were changing. You were living out in the world where you couldn't find that Christ or that peace, I'll say. You couldn't find that peace and that love that you knew there was out there somewhere. A lot of us are looking for love. And we find ourselves, especially when you're young, looking for love in the wrong places. Finding too many people, wanting that connection, wanting that wholeness, and thinking that love is the answer from someone else. You don't feel complete unless you find that someone else. And so how many someone else's have we found along the way? And it doesn't fill that hole. It really doesn't. When you find that true love inside of you, it's that love that begins to come from the inside out. That love that I can love someone else no matter what's going on with them. And whether they love you or not, you still feel whole and complete. That's when that divine presence begins to grow and expand in you, where you can begin to understand that unconditional love that comes from the creative life force. We look for things outside, and that's not where it's at. That's not where it's at. That spark of divinity has always been in us, and for all these ages, very few people have been able to tap it like Jesus the Christ or Buddha or Krishna and others that knew there was more to us, more to humanity than meets the eye. So that can't be birthed out here in the outer world. All we're seeking is already placed within us. And so as they were journeying to Bethlehem, Bethlehem is that place that is really in us. It's the place of substance. It's that place where creation itself comes forth. And it is activated within us, just like being impregnated with a child. There is nothing there, and all of a sudden, things start coming together. Wisdom and love begin to move within your heart at some time. And in that wisdom and love, as it begins to merge into the light of the unseen, which all these aspects of God are unseen to the physical eye. But when your inner being begins to recognize it as being a part of you, it begins to bring forth more love, more peace, more joy. We talk about heaven on earth. And for some, that's a new concept. I've always believed in that could be possible. I always believed that peace could be possible. And how many times, couldn't even tell you, have I been told I'm wrong. There could never be peace, is what I've heard. Never be peace on earth, because there's always that division. Always something going on between nations, between countries, between people, between family. And I finally got to the place that I kind of said, yep, that's probably it. But right now, I don't believe that anymore. I have to hold to the vision I had when I was young. It's like the prophets of old kept telling the story that there was going to be a child born. And this child was going to be born in Bethlehem. All these things were prophesied. And this time that we're living in right now has been prophesied. Ages have passed. And it doesn't matter the time span. When the truth is spoken, the truth will show up somewhere down the road. So we're standing in the middle of it. We really are. I believe it with all my heart. And it may take thousands of years to unfold, but we've already begun the birth of that higher consciousness. And that's what it is for us. In the natural consciousness, and we cannot birth that Christ because there's all this outer stuff, all these things that we've got to do that doesn't have room for it. That's the end, our consciousness, our subconsciousness. This is where the Christ is going to be born within us. It's going to be in our thought. It's going to be in our mind, but it's going to be in that higher mind that has been spoken of, that Paul spoke about. Let the mind that was in Christ Jesus be also in you. That's truth. That's truth. The mind of Christ is there. As we begin to awaken to it, we are in darkness. The darkness means that we can't see. We can't see that truth of what's going on within us. But now more and more people are beginning to wake up to that truth that will set us free. Kindness begins to be in your heart. You find you want to do for others. Gentleness, understanding, compassion. Slowly, slowly, but surely, these things began to come from within out. And it's in the middle of all these things that feel so good within you. Every once in a while, there's that animal nature, that piggish nature, that time when you are not concerned or you're so stubborn about something. That's that journey you're going. You're still in that pigsty. You're still in that barn state. You finally do find a place. Maybe you don't recognize it, but it's within your own beingness that you have protection, the wisdom and the knowing how to be still and bring forth this life that is in you. The life that has always been you, but it's the life we've forgotten. The life that we started walking just like the prodigal son. What did he do? He left the Father's house. We've left the Father's house. We've forgotten that in the Father's house, in the consciousness of the divine, anything we stand in need of is right there. It's for us. All you ever need is right there. That's what all the stories in the Bible are about, to go back and find what is it? What draws you? What story have you always liked ever since you was a little boy, a little girl? What comes to mind? Well, if there's a story, start looking into that story. Ask your heart, what is it telling me? What is it telling me? So many people like that prodigal son because they know that they were out in the world and they couldn't find that connection with the divine. But yet one day they realized where I'm at right now is doing me no good. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a thief. I'm a drug addict. Whatever I'm doing, it just keeps getting worse and worse. And it said the prodigal son, he looked up. All that means is to begin to look to something higher, to begin to know the possibility, to have the hope. And when he did, he recognized, I want to go back home. That's a spiritual thing. Something in you is, I don't want to live like this. I know there's something better than this. And you start making that trip home. But in that journey back home, there's all this guilt and there's all this shame and there's all these things that are running through you that I'm not worthy. And I hate to tell you, but most of the religious orders love that stuff. That just kind of slipped out. But that keeps you coming into that organization. Keeps you coming thinking, if I go there enough, if I'm sitting in that bench, if I'm going to the altar, if I'm taking communion, if I do all the right things, if I say all the right things, I won't go to this place called hell. Well, you're already in hell. If you're in that shape, you're already in hell. Because you're already worrying, you're already afraid. And fear is something that will keep you away from that place of peace and love and joy and oneness. This world has been set up for us that we can sabotage ourselves from our spiritual life. We are spiritual beings. We're having a human experience. But we haven't been taught this is it. We've been taught that you're a human being, born in sin and hate and anger and all these, and how bad you are. And so on your way back to that spiritual side of waking up and understanding who you are, who I am, there's so much guilt and shame. It's like, how can you face the Father? And that's what the prodigal son was doing. Well, I'm going to tell him I'm so unworthy. I'm going to tell him I'm so unworthy. Let me be your servant. Don't even consider me your son anymore. As he was doing all this and got to that place where the Father was, the Father came out to greet him. The moment you start turning towards the light goes, it comes to you. The light of God, the love of God, the peace of God will sweep over you so much you'll find yourself, more than likely, that heart just melting, and you're just boo-hooing. You remember that day. Most of us have had that experience of that feeling of the light and the love and the peace of God. And you didn't have to be in a cathedral. You didn't have to be in a building. You could be right in your own bed, walking in the woods, sitting by a brook. I knew that as a little girl too. Because people would talk about so-and-so went to hell, and I would think, how do you know that? How do you know that? Because something could have changed for them a day or two before, a moment or two before. They didn't have to be with some minister to feel that love, to feel that connection, to feel that peace, to release the past. How do you know? That was my feeling back then. But we're fed this stuff to keep in fear, and fear is something we do not need. What always happens when someone's confronted by the light and the love, and it's too overwhelming because they're not used to it? That thought comes, fear not. Fear not. Fear not, why? Because I am with you. Emmanuel. I am with you. God is with you. The presence, the creative power is with you. We just don't recognize it, and to not recognize it, we are blinded. We don't see the truth. But once you start waking up to that and know, if I have a problem I can't solve, I can go within and know that love has the answer. Peace has the answer. I don't have to be at odds with you. If you'll come to me, or I'll come to you as brothers and sisters. We can, as Mom would say, iron things out, get the wrinkles out of things. If we come together in love with the willingness to listen, with the willingness to serve. And so, in my heart, I recognize, for me, that as I change, someone else close to me just might change too. One heart at a time, one light at a time. And I believe groups and organizations can begin to come together. Different cultures can come together. And as we begin to know each other and listen to each other, life changes. Don't you remember when we used to be so afraid of people in Russia? And you might still be that way, I don't know. But when I was in first, second grade and all this, we would put our heads under a little desk because we might be bombed. They might attack us. I don't think that little desk is going to help me survive, but that's what we did. Sirens would go off on Saturday afternoons. You had to go get a hiding place. And some of your neighbors may have just had something built in the backyard, underground where you could go hide. Of course, they wouldn't let you in because they don't have enough room. But those kind of things happen. But I found myself in Russia. And I remember some of the people saying, Elizabeth, y'all have the most blessed place to live, don't you? You have cars, you have houses, you have food, you have all this, and everything's just so luxurious. I said, yeah, we have those. I said, but do you have it? Oh, not like you have it. I said, well, what's the difference? Well, we don't have money put back. Y'all have lots of money all the time. I said, well, I pay for my car, make my car payment, my house payment, I get groceries, I get gas, all these things just like you do. And after I do that, I don't have any extra. How about you? We're all the same, and we're all looking for the same things to satisfy the physical form. And within a few weeks, I think we were there about a couple of weeks, there was such rapport that we didn't speak the same language, but we understood what we were talking about. We had an interpreter, but you could feel the love, you could feel the compassion, you could feel the oneness, you could feel the giving as all this was happening to us. There was 8 of us that went to Russia, but it just ripped away all that stuff, because we recognized we were taught to be afraid of each other, but there was no fear. There was no fear. There was love and compassion and sharing and recognizing that we were brothers and sisters, no matter what country we came from, that there was a connection that would never end. And there was love between all of us. And so the day when we were leaving Armenia, especially when we were leaving Armenia, we had gotten so close. Every single one of us was crying. Our family was going in different directions. Now, if that can happen to me and 7 other people in a matter of a few weeks, with being with people that we thought we had to be afraid of, vice versa, as we get to know each other in different cultures, this can begin to happen all over the world. We have to put down our hate and put down our division. And one day, I believe this will happen. Because when Jesus came in, he came in to bring peace on earth and goodwill to what, me and you, the Unity family, our personal family? No, to the world. That was the first real incarnation of a life that was going to come to a place to be an instrument, to be an example for others to follow. Whether it's 2,000 years, 10,000 years, 25,000 years, that energy started flowing. And now we're standing in that place where you got 2 minds here. So when I stop, I recognize what I'm doing. My natural mind is saying, no, 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 don't go there. But there's something overshadowing me, just to keep flowing anyway. We're experiencing a time when you're told what to do, you're told what to say, you're told what not to say, you're told what you're supposed to learn, what you're not supposed to learn, told all these things, and there's something inside of you that wants freedom. That's all it is, freedom. Just freedom. Freedom for what? Freedom to be who you are. And as you begin to move into that freedom of who you are, you're going to find out that who you are is a divine being of love, a divine being of light. You're going to find that creativity just flowing forth from you, because we've been put in these little boxes of how you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to become, what you're supposed to learn, what you're supposed to do. And whether it's by parents, grandparents, society, but that wall of division will begin to break down. It will begin to break down. And you will be divinely led. Something in you will take you to those people, or they will come to you that you need to get in touch with. That group, that small group maybe, that begins to work together in harmony and community until that community can touch that community. And not a one of us are to be a carbon copy of somebody else. I don't know why we think we have to. We have to fit in or wear that right place. Mom would have a fit seeing me up here in slacks. I mean, that's a no-no, especially at church. But we think for ourselves, what's comfortable, what to do, what do we feel good in? This is where we're coming to, I do believe. And we want this government structure, and we want the one that we want, right? Yeah, this is the right one. This is the right one. Well, who's to say what's right? One's right for one, one's another, whatever. But me, within me, here again, it's that freedom of choice. That freedom of choice. And I don't have the right to tell you what to believe. It's your choice, your freedom to make your own personal choices in anything there is. Years ago, I spoke. I'm recalling about feeling something in myself that was saying that the leaders of the world, are not going to change the world. Because we try to bring forth change through force of demanding you to do something. Demanding. We've worked that way for eons of time. Has it worked? Not really. When we begin to change inside of ourselves, I'm not saying throw away all the everything, but slowly but surely, we'll make those choices of helping someone else, our neighbor, our friends. We'll give of ourselves freely. We give of our time because why? We love. We love. We'll touch that love. And then we won't need to have someone to tell us what to do or demand us to do anything. We'll be operating from a higher place. That higher place is the spirit of who we are. And in that spirit of who we are, we won't be worrying about those fleshly things that we worry about now. The Christ is born in the spirit of who we are. That spirit begins to overshadow the flesh. We begin to recognize, just as God looks after the sparrow, looks after the animals, that divine presence always has enough for us also. And we'll recognize it for everyone else. There's enough on this planet for all of us to never go hungry. There's enough financial good on this planet for not a one of us to be without. But we've got that piggish nature. And we want to hoard things up. When love and light and wisdom begins to be born in us, we'll know where to give, where to help, what to do, and what to say. The Christ in you, the Spirit of God in you, is awakening. I believe with all my heart, it is awakening in some of you. And when that happens, we don't have to go around, you won't go around strutting and saying, guess what? I'm enlightened. I'm enlightened. I won't have to say that. You won't have to say that. You just be that light. Be that love. Be that peace. So love was born. Love was born in a human form. And what it's saying to me and you is love is now at that place, that unconditional love, that it can come forth through you. Don't hide that light of who you are. Let your light shine. Let your love shine. Let your peace shine. Your wisdom and understanding. As the ego self begins to drift aside, it's like I'm seeing some kind of a big nut or something, or a hard place with something really wonderful and good inside of it. As it begins to open up, the true sweetness of who you are comes out. That ego self is that hard shell that's around us. But as it begins to open up, that light, that peace, that joy begins to resonate. You've been around people you just love. They just drew you to them. Don't you know somebody like that you've met? That you love to be in their energy? You love to hear them talk? You love to share time with them? That's that light that they're showing. That's that goodness that they have. And they attract multitudes, usually, of people. letting your light shine, letting your love shine. That's what will bring us together. That's the birth of the Christ in you. So that wasn't just for Mary. It's for each and every person on this planet, recognizing all that she did, you can do also. But stop again and think. She birthed the Christ. She birthed that physical form that would bring forth the divine consciousness, divine love here on earth. I'm saying all that she did, you can too, be you male or female. But then her son, the Son of God, said to the disciples and to all those that would come, ever be born on this planet, did he not have that message? I'm the forerunner, he was saying. I come before others to show you the way, the truth, the truth, the truth, and the light. I come. All that I do, you can do also. And greater than you've ever seen me do in my physical form, you shall do. Because we are brothers and sisters. Now, when we wake up to the truth of who we are, when we really wake up to that truth of the Christ born in us, not just on a Christmas day, a time of darkness, when the solstice, the light and the dark are there and the light's going to come forth, not just on that day, but every day. Anytime darkness is there, know that the light is there even brighter to dispel that darkness. And that impossibility of that young girl, Mary, bringing forth a child that will be the full manifestation of a Son of God was impossible, it sounded like. But I'm telling you the same story about yourself. Oh, it's impossible because it's me. It's you. We're just average old people. No, Mary was an average young girl. It's not impossible. With God, all things are possible. All things are possible. Only believe. This Christmas, may you believe and may you know the truth, the gift that was given to you ages ago, the gift that has been hidden for eons of time. And you know what that gift is. You know what has been hidden from mankind. And people have been destroyed when they begin to find this truth that will set you free. What is that? Christ in you. Divinity in you. God in you. You've been taught, I've been taught. God is afar off, way up there somewhere. The divine is everywhere present. Everywhere present. And Jesus made it simple. I say things the past couple of years, I've been repeating myself. I know. It's like being in first grade over and over again until finally the heart gets it. You are the temple of the living God. Know you not, the Bible says, that you are the temple of the living God. That's where God lives. The very breath of divinity. is in you. I told Tony this week, I said, I don't even know what to say anymore because I don't have a fear of death. I know I don't have an end. I don't even know if there's a beginning. I've always been. And when you begin to have that, you have peace inside. And I have a friend that said, but Elizabeth, if you believe in reincarnation or anything like that, that means you can go do anything. She's talking about all the things that are negative. But there's a difference. When you truly know it, you don't want to do things that would harm anybody else. You really, really don't. You really don't. And then going to that place, I want the wisdom to know, how does that balance out when you're dealing with other people? Give me wisdom, Lord. Give me knowledge. Give us wisdom. Give us knowledge how to interact with other people and hold the light for them to find their highest and best in all situations. I know we have to walk through valleys to learn. But while we're going there, may we be gentle to help others as they help us. May this be the best Christmas you've ever experienced in your life. May that understanding, wisdom, and knowledge, joy and peace and love be awakened in your hearts and your minds. And knowing we are here right now to establish and anchor in that kingdom or that vibration of a living God. As Jesus taught us to pray, thy kingdom what? Come, thy will be done. Where at? Way up there in the wild blue yonder? On earth, as it is in the higher dimensions. This is why we're here right now. To bring heaven to earth. To bring heaven to earth. Hear somebody thinking, but heaven and hell can't be in the same place. No, but it is among us still. Someone can be in a horrible, hellish state of consciousness, of fear and anguish and pain. And I felt guilty before. You probably have too. Just like now with all that's going on in the world and the chaos, and then the tornado that came through. What was it, over 200 miles yesterday or night before in Kentucky? Just whoosh. And here we are safe and sound. And there people are hurting. People are dying. There's that heavy heart. Teach us, Lord. Show us how we can send that light and that love and help others to have peace in the midst of the storm. To hold a place where they can rise up above all that pain and suffering and know the sun will shine again. Light will come forth. There will be others there that the Christ within them will give them strength and knowledge to know how to assist. May we all come into that knowledge. That time is right here, right now, beginning, and has been. Thank you, God, for this day and for all that it brings. May our piece of the puzzle that we're right here, a piece of that. May we find ourselves in the right place at the right time, saying the right words that would help someone be set free, each and every one of us. May everyone that hears my voice recognize they are a blessing in this world. May they choose to be a blessing each and every day, for we have been given that great gift of choice. May we choose wisely for all concerned. Thank you, God.